Hello and welcome to ProtoBalls Talk. I'm ProtoMet.
This is my recycled balls. We're back.
It took us a little while. We took a little bit of a break, but we're back. And today we will be covering Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
It's good. It was the long-awaited sequel to Raiders of the Lost Ark, and came out May 23rd, 1984. Released into theaters, at least. And it is a bit of a different. It's very different in tone to Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
It's also got very different villains. This is the infamous Indiana Jones movie, as it were, the one that people don't really like to talk about. Other than before Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls came out. After Crystal Skull came out, everybody's like, Temple of Doom, it's the second one. It's the one...
Wasn't nearly as bad as we thought it was.
It wasn't nearly as bad as we thought it was. Because Crystal Skull came out and it was like, oh, this is what a bad Indiana Jones movie... Well, it's not bad. This is what an underwhelming Indiana Jones movie looks like.
But,
So it once again stars Harrison Ford, and also stars Kate Capshaw.
My recycled balls here is a huge fan of hers.
I like Kate. No, I'm not gonna lie. I like her. She's been in a few good movies. It's just she was not directed well in this movie. Oh God, she's infamous in this movie for her fucking incessant screaming and whining and
just being a knob.
Yeah, and then also it co-stars Ki-Hu Kwan, who played Data from the Goonies. He's one of the kids from the Goonies, and he plays Short Round in this.
And I'm pretty sure there is a trope named after him. If not him, then Scrappy-Doo.
Yeah, the annoying...
Should give you a good idea of what kind of character he is.
I don't mind... I don't mind him in this movie. Like...
I kind of have to agree with that, but...
Like, people say he's an annoying little shit, but he's not nearly as bad as Kate Capshaw. Holy...
No.
If it was just him... best way to describe it. If it was just Short Round, it'd be fine.
Yeah.
And if it was just Kate Capshaw... it would be awful, but the fact both of them are combined is what makes it absolutely worse. I described this movie to ProtoMet while we were watching it. I described it as Kate Capshaw and Ki-Hu Kwan going absolutely nuts, and Harrison Ford slowly being driven insane by their annoyingness. Because that's what it is. It's Harrison Ford slowly being driven insane by everybody else's stupidity.
This film is also known for being a bit more violent than the other movies.
Oh, it's an R film. Should have been an R film.
But
with some of the stuff that's in it, it should have been an R film.
This, along with the movie Gremlins, was
the reason why PG-13 is now a thing. Thanks, Temple of Doom and Gremlins. You kind of fucked up movie rating systems forever. Because, now every hardcore movie wants to be PG-13 because it gets them the most views, and it's like, and now people like. Raiders of the Lost Ark was PG because, hey, parents, you should probably watch some of this stuff with your kids and make sure it's okay. But nowadays, PG has a whole different connotation. PG's like, it's just kid stuff, It's a family picture.
Pretty sure that's what the G rating is for. G rating is for specifically kids movies. PG is for family movies. PG-13 is for maybe you should be a bit more mature to watch this. And then R is like, you should probably be an adult.
Yeah, no, PG-13.
That's how I view it.
That's how you view it, but in reality, PG movies are now kids movies, and PG-13 movies are all the Hollywood sellouts that don't want to be an R movie because they'll get pulled from some theaters.
Yeah, that does make me think that I'm seeing fewer and fewer G ratings, so that might be a true statement.
Yeah, like, say what you will, but the PG-13 rating over, like, not to understate Temple of Doom's legacy in creating that, because this should have been an R-rated film, and the fact that this was PG when it came out. The fact this was PG when it came out is remarkable. Just absolutely fucking remarkable, considering, like, you thought the melting face in Raiders of the Lost Ark was hardcore shit. You ain't seen shit in this movie.
Styles it up to 10.
11.
Like
11. Dials it up to 11 because some of the topic matter. Subject matter is pretty fucking dark. Anyway, that being said, it also let's get the elephant out of the room with this movie. Doesn't portray Indian religions the best. Oh yeah, there's no Nazis in this movie. The villains are the villains are a cult, basically. Not much of a spoiler because we're gonna get into it, but it doesn't really portray Hinduism in the best light.
Well, to be fair, this movie is more about the Thuggy cult, which by that point was kind of a rather dead religion.
So we have the article up here. This is sort of a side tangent. Thuggy refers to the acts of thugs, an organized gang of professional robbers and murderers. The English language thug traces its roots to Hindi, which means swindler or deceiver. Thugs are said to have traveled in groups across the Indian subcontinent. They're blah blah blah. Traced to some Muslim tribes formed of the. So basically, it was just a gang, but they.
But in the context of this movie, it's treated as though we're like a cult of worshipping Kali.
Yeah, hold on. You keep going. Anyway, so some of the other actors are Amrish Puri. He's famous for just this movie. Honestly, Mola Ram. Yeah. Roshan Seth. I think he was somebody else, and Philip Stone, who was Captain Philip Lumbert in this movie. He's also Delbert Grady in The Shining. I did not realize that. He's also Pa, the father of Alex, from Clockwork Orange. That's the AC, don't worry about it.
Yeah. It's been hot out lately, just trying to keep cool.
Anyways, so we've got a bit of a backstory there. So it ran on a $28.2 million budget, came back with $333.1 million at the box office. That's a good return of investment. Meanwhile, nowadays you've got films that are like $400 million and barely make $23 million at the box office. Hey, got Hollywood, maybe you should probably back the fuck up and maybe start doing small budget films again.
Or maybe pay the CG effects artists a lot more so that they don't just go bankrupt just before the movies get released.
Yeah, fuck you, Hollywood. Hollywood's a fucking. Hollywood has a lot of problems, honestly.
I think that Detective Pikachu and Sonic the Hedgehog were both really good movies, and the CG company behind them went out of business before Sonic came out. I should mention that this was the company that also completely redesigned Sonic for the movie because of how poorly that character's design was received.
Oh my god. This is a little side tangent, but hey, fucking pay your CG effects companies and pay them well. Because I mean, like, look at Jurassic Park. Imagine if they didn't put any budget in that CG. It would look fucking terrible.
And I still think that Jurassic Park CG is some of the best CG.
Oh, for sure.
Period.
Oh, I mean, well, Terminator 2.
Hell yeah.
What's the subtitle? Terminator 2.
Judgment Day.
Judgment Day. Yeah, that's what I was trying to think. Yeah, Judgment Day's CG effects are fucking probably the best.
we should cover some of those.
We should cover some Terminator movies. So anyway,
after all that, let's actually get into the...
After a whopping 10 minutes, let's get right into it. So, the movie begins in 1935. That's right, this is a prequel.
It's a good thing this movie didn't have, like, a number on its title, like Indiana Jones 2, The Temple of Doom. No, it's just Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
This was the first... By the way, this was the first movie to use the Indiana Jones title.
Not counting the fact that they decided to rename Raiders of the Lost Ark to Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Most people generally don't use the Indiana Jones titles because, I mean, you've got Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, Last Crusade, and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Those are fantastic movie names, and you don't need the Indiana Jones in them because people know what you're talking about.
Granted, I can kind of understand why they did it, because this was the second movie.
Yes, I can understand that, yes.
It's kind of in the same vein as like how the First Blood movies started to shift to being called Rambo.
Or Star Wars, or like the Star Wars movies, because it was originally just Star Wars, and then they renamed it.
Yeah, so there is precedent, and we can understand why.
So,
but yeah, the subtitles are kind of the focus.
So the movie starts with a song and dance number, and just when I thought we got away from musicals, this comes back and bites us. And the first person, the first main character that shows up on our screens is Willy Scott, played by Kate Capshaw, and she butchers the Chinese language. I'm sorry.
You should be.
Butchers Mandarin Chinese as she's singing. Other than anything goes, that's fine. She manages to nail that because it's in English. So this movie starts off with a completely different tone than Raiders of the Lost Ark. And
we quickly learn that Indy is at this nightclub to make a deal with a Shanghai Mafia man.
Yeah, crime boss in Shanghai, Lao Che, who is, to date, the only Indiana Jones villain to have Karmic Houdini on his side. And we'll explain why in a bit. So they sit down, and so Lao Che is trying to wager with Indiana Jones for the ashes of Emperor Nurhachi, who... you can go ahead.
And the deal keeps kind of going back and forth with both sides not really wanting to give it too much ground or tip their hand too much.
So Nurhachi was born 8th of April 1559 to 30th of September 1626. He was a Jurchen chieftain who rose to prominence in late 16th century Manchuria.
He's reading this off the Wikipedia article.
So he's considered a Khan, and let's see here, and he conquered the Ming Dynasty, and his descendants founded the Jing Dynasty with a Q. The Jing Dynasty, yes.
The Qing Dynasty?
Maybe the Qing Dynasty, which reigned until 1912. So he was the founder of the longest reigning dynasty in Chinese history. A little backstory, because
I can then kind of understand why they would want that.
Yes,
those would be valuable even for ransom.
As you can tell, I'm kind of a history nut.
Anyway, basically, India is trying to barter the ashes for a diamond that Lao Che has.
Kate Capshaw. Fucking Willie has one of the dumbest. Boy, this Nurhachi is a really small guy. Fuck off. I hate. Some of her dialogue in this movie is just downright cringeworthy.
But initially, Lao Che tries to pay Indy with gold. Indy's not taking it because he wants that diamond. Ultimately, everybody seems to get what they want, and they have a bit of a toast, and Indy drinks some of the wine. And
what are you laughing at? I have the antidote. For what? The poison you just drank, Dr. Jones. And
this leads to an incredibly chaotic scene where Indy is trying to get his hands on the antidote. Willy is trying...
Right after one of Indy's best friends, who's only on screen for 2 minutes, dies.
And gets shot and killed.
And he's like, we've shared many adventures. Show us! I want to see those adventures with this man.
Maybe he showed up in that TV show.
Who knows?
I don't. I've never seen
Over the road, under the road, who knows?
But yeah, this whole chaotic scene that comes afterwards is a mad dash as Indy is trying to get his hands on the antidote
while fighting off a bunch of fucking assholes.
While Willy's trying to get her hands on the diamond.
And the diamond's lost forever when a table of ice, like a
bucket of ice.
A bucket of ice. That's what. It's not really like a bucket. It's more like it's a stand of ice.
An ice bucket stand.
Yeah. And it just tips over, and she's just like...
During all this, Lao Che's men are trying to kill Indy and Willy.
By the way, for a bit of backstory, Indiana Jones had cut off one of the fingers of Lao Che's son, and he had just murdered the other one right before this chaos.
I wouldn't actually be surprised if his son cut off his own finger.
No. Because Indiana Jones was like, I know you sent a couple of men after me and I took care of the problem. And one of his sons holds up a bandaged hand, basically cut off one of his fingers. This is Indiana.
I interpreted it as him having had to cut off his finger.
Oh.
Kind of like what the Yakuza do.
Maybe. But like,
that's how I interpreted it.
But like, this is a different Indiana Jones compared to Raiders.
Yeah, this is definitely not the scholar that we're familiar with.
Like, Indiana Jones, pointing out differences, Indiana Jones in Raiders of the Lost Ark was more of a neutral character. This one, he's the villain. Like, he's a bad guy. He's almost borderline a grave robber, doing it for just money and shit.
Yeah.
It belongs in a museum. Doesn't exist in this version of Indy.
Yeah.
So anyway, Indy basically kidnaps Willy Scott, and
even though Lao Che doesn't give a fuck about her, because he's actually completely willing to just let her die when Indy takes her hostage. Because he's like, oh, I'll get another one.
At first, he feigns concern because it's like, well, there's a bargaining chip. I need that diamond back. Oh, well, he drank the poison. Well, she's useless now. I have the diamond now.
Yeah, the diamond goes missing. The diamond becomes a non-factor for the rest of the movie, except for Willy just being obsessed with them because she's a woman.
Because she's a dumb American actress. No, she's a dumb American singer. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, that's her personality trait. She's a dumb American singer.
Yeah, she is no Marion. She is as far away from a Marion as you can get.
Marion would have been a welcome sight in this movie. Holy crap.
Unfortunately, this takes place within a decade where they hadn't been speaking to each other.
Yeah. Because I'm pretty sure Raiders takes place in 38. Yeah, it takes place in 38. And that doesn't matter. Anyway.
Eventually, Indy does
So they escape from the top of this fucking nightclub. From like the 10th...
Willy does get her hands on the antidote and
stows
it away.
Sticks it in her breasts.
Stows it away.
Let's go with stows it away.
I was trying to be polite about it, and you just had to come out and say it.
There's a gag. There's a gag like 2 minutes later.
I know. I was gonna get to that.
Okay.
I had to establish that she had the antidote.
She had the antidote. So they jump out of the window from the 10th story of this fucking building. They
go through the overhangs.
Awnings.
There we go.
They go through the awnings and they land inside a car. And Hello, Short Round.
We get a little kid.
Wow, Indy, when you make an entrance, you make an entrance. Step on it, Short Round.
They hightail it out of there. They're being chased through the streets.
High-speed chase, mind you. Eventually, they run into a rickshaw, and poor man. Poor bastard. He's hanging on for dear life, and it goes flying.
Meanwhile, Indy is alternatively trying to shoot at the pursuers and trying to get the antidote from inside Willy's dress. See, I told you I was going to get to it.
Yep. We don't know each other that well.
He does get the antidote and drinks
Here,
it. And
here, hang on to this. Like, he fires the gun. Fires his gun.
Hands it to her. She's just shocked at the fact that she has a gun in her hand.
Well, it's hot. Well, yeah, it's burning hot. So she's like, ah.
I interpreted it as her just being like, oh, gun! Never seen one of those before.
No, because she grabbed it by the barrel. Because it was just fired, and she's like, fuck!
Tosses it out the window.
Tosses it out the window. Where's it? Let's stick a pin in that for a second. Where's my gun? I'm broken now. Fuck you! I hate you. You're a fucking worthless sack of shit character. Oh God.
Oh yeah.
I hate her.
Yeah.
Ah!
They do manage to get to an airplane that takes
and we get a Dan Aykroyd cameo. Dan Aykroyd.
He's just there, really blinking, you'll miss it.
It's a fucking shit British accent too, mind you. Yeah, this is like when Britain was sort of taking over everything, and he's like, well, I booked a freighter for you. Come, in his shit British accent.
And Lao Chi shows up just as Andy's getting on the plane. It's like, see ya, loser. Lao Chi Freights. Just has the words Lao Chi Freights emblazoned on the side of the plane.
Goodbye, Dr. Jones. Yeah, so Lao Chi gets away with everything.
He gets the last laugh. Gets away with everything. And sticks Indy with Willy. So he gets a net
You
gain.
can't stop looking at me. Watch me.
Indy pulls his hat over. His eyes goes to sleep because Indy is so full of herself. And
Willy is so full of herself. Yes.
They get to Tibet, and the pilots decide to bail.
Where are they going to? They jump out of the plane, and it's like, okay, what next? What's next for them?
Well, it's possible they had a backup plan and knew that they were going to meet up with some people. And the plane is just on autopilot for this point. Autopilot and the fuel has been ejected, so...
Yeah, I have several objections to that, but that's just more me being...
Yeah.
That's just me...
The emergency fuel eject button in the cockpit.
Why?
I can understand that confusion. I can think of some reasonable explanations as to why, but it's not really here nor there in this movie.
At the same time, but why?
I think it's Short Round who wakes up and finds that there is no pilot. Willy freaks out and expects Indy to be able to save the day. Indy doesn't know how to pilot a plane.
Despite Harrison Ford piloting plenty of planes. No, the most, oh God, the most... Willy, once again, has a fucking awful line. Because Indy pulls out a goddamn, like, raft. He pulls out a life raft, an inflatable life raft, and Willy, incredibly intelligent that she is, we're not sinking, we're crashing! Fuck off!
Ultimately, they used this inflatable raft to
survive,
land in an Indian river, which takes them past this mystery man. And once they draw near to this mystery man, Indy immediately starts puts his hand together in prayer because he knows what kind of person this is.
Yep, they landed. They eventually make it to the village of Mayapur
in northern India.
Yep. Which is, yeah, they're probably just south of Tibet. In one of those regions. Past the Himalayas, obviously.
Because we saw them.
Yeah. Anyways, so they arrive at the village and they're treated like guests, but Willy's
not having it because the food they're presented with is not up to her standards. And Indy's like, come on, be nice. This is probably more food than these people have had in a month.
Oh, by the way, yeah, you're insulting them and embarrassing me. Eat it, you fucking cow. Doesn't call her a fucking cow, but I call her a fucking cow.
Well, that's being nice, isn't it?
I guess. Nice is one way of putting it. Like I said, I like Kate. God, she's annoying.
You like Kate, but not in this.
Not in this. There are some performances, like Johnny Depp. He's good in some movies, and then he's outright just unbearable in some movies. To the point where it's like, I like you, Johnny, but I fucking hate you at the same time. This is Kate in this movie. I like her as a person, but God, she's fucking...
But yeah, the man who picked him up is the village elder, and he and some of his associates explain what's been going on and why there aren't any kids in the village, because basically the Thuggy cult that we mentioned in the opening bit...
Pancot Palace has
abandoned them, stolen their magical stone, and kidnapped their children.
Yeah, essentially.
So while Indy and the others are wanting to go to Delhi, the guy basically tells them to stop off in
Pancot when they get the chance.
On the way to Delhi.
But during the night, one of the children comes back and he's close to death. Like he's...
I feel I should mention that the reason that they want Indy to go to Pancot is because they believe that he's part of some prophecy or whatever to save the village. So this whole confusing sequence of events have basically worked in their favor, and they think that he's the savior sent by their gods, Shiva.
Or so they say. You know?
And he just wants to get to Delhi. But then, that night, a kid who's somehow managed to escape returns to the village and, dies.
Yep.
And
well, he doesn't die. He
looks like
he's close to death. He's near death.
Like, you could have told me the kid died and I would have believed it.
I thought, never mind.
My recycled balls just flipped me off for literally no reason.
I thought he was flipping me off, and I was like, what the fuck did I do? Asshole. Anyway, there's this one scene in between before they leave where Indy and Short Round are having a conversation, and it's one of these... It's almost in every Spielberg movie where there's it's calm, it's quiet, and it's one of these movies where the people just talk, and basically all Indy says is the line of the movie: "Fortune and glory, kid, fortune and glory," and it's Indy's a bad person in this movie for a lot of reasons.
Good thing he has a pretty decent character arc for this movie, then.
Yeah, well, he has a very good story arc in general. If you play all four movies.
Let's just say 3 movies.
3 movies in chronological order, starting with Last Crusade. We'll get to that. Not much of a spoiler. The Last Crusade is not the first movie chronologically.
Raiders isn't the first movie.
Yeah.
Chronologically.
Raiders isn't. This isn't either. Just for reference.
Don't even get us started on the TV show we've never talked about.
The Young Adventures of... The
Adventures of Young Indiana Jones. Which itself has three timelines going on in it. You got Kid Indy, you got slightly less Kid Indy, you got Teen Indy. That's all a mess.
Everything's a mess, man. So, anyway, they decide, hey, let's go. And, more comedy bit from fucking Willy Scott.
Trying to get on an elephant. The elephant just harassing her the entire time.
Because she's fucking spraying a bunch of perfume on it. And it's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? You're an asshole. She's a fucking asshole. She basically abuses this elephant. Despite the elephant liking her.
She is incredibly a fish out of water character. And that's part of the main reason I hated Masked Rider. Because it had fish out of water elements. Those are dumb. Don't have those.
Kate Capshaw's Willy Scott is a fish out of water character done badly. Like, there are no positives to her in this movie whatsoever.
And we haven't even gotten to the temple yet.
We haven't even gotten to the temple yet. And she's just grating on me. And then we get the campfire scene.
Well, they have to take a short rest for the night after Willy winds up wet.
Gets thrown off the elephant because the elephant's had enough of her bullshit.
And lands in the river. I'm losing my voice. I'm a singer. Her whole complaining in this movie is basically first world problems. For the 30s.
Hashtag first world problems from the 1930s.
I have a headache just thinking about it.
I have a headache just doing her voice. That's how much Willy Scott annoys me. She gives me a headache thinking about her. Meanwhile, Short Round's fine, you know?
Oh, yeah. The little poker match he and...
Oh, God, the poker match is pretty funny. But even that's ruined. That's ruined because Willy Scott is screaming in the background. Oh. So they're playing a poker game, and Short Round accuses Indy of cheating, and Indy pulls an ace of spades out of his
out of Short Round's sleeve.
Out of Short Round's sleeve. and he's like,
it's a nice exchange that's marred by Willy doing her thing.
Because there's two bits of comedy, three good bits of comedy with Willy Scott in this movie that I will admit is genuinely funny. And one of them happens in this scene, because Willy Scott has finally just sort of had a nervous breakdown, has had enough of this shit, and the elephant keeps harassing her.
With its trunk?
With its trunk. And Indiana Jones is trying to explain
what this magical stone
that
was protecting the village was.
Made of lingam. It's an abstract... Oh, okay, yeah.
It's a magical stone that apparently there were 5 of them from this legend about this guy who gained favor from Shiva, and the stones...
So lingam is not actually a material, it is the lines. So the stone, it has 3 lines in it.
And the stones bring fortune and prosperity to whoever has it.
Yeah, they're...
And basically the village had been holding on to this stone and was a fairly prosperous village until this stone was taken. At which point, everything that could go wrong did go wrong.
It went tits up.
They suffered a drought. Their crops died off. Yep. Their kids got kidnapped.
Their river dried up.
The river dried up. Everything that could have gone possibly wrong with this small farming village went wrong.
Despite Indiana Jones.
I have no idea what that's all about.
Stop. We're back.
Sorry for that brief interruption. I got a visit from my grandma.
We got a visit from Grandma ProtoBalls.
Or Grandma my recycled balls. Shut up.
Shut up.
So anyway, Indy was explaining why these stones are so important, prosperity and fortune and all that.
And Willy's had enough of this bullshit. And
Of the element just kind of harassing her with her trunk.
So she grabs it and throws it. And it's not the trunk, it's a snake. And he's like, oh! Oh! I really hate that elephant.
So
that's like one of 3 scenes where Kate Capshaw is genuinely funny.
Yeah, doesn't she find like a massive bug at one point during this scene?
Yeah, she runs into a bunch of animals in this scene.
Yeah, I remember that. Some really freaky ones. So that's why I was asking about it before.
No, now it's just too cold.
Okay, fair enough.
We turned off the AC because it's too cold, and I'm only wearing short sleeves.
I'm wearing shorts and short sleeves. Buck it up!
No, I prefer my warmth, thank you very much.
Anyway, the next morning, they continue on their journey and make it to the palace of the Maharaja.
Before that, they run into a sort of statue.
Oh, yeah, they run into a statue that scares off their guides.
It's Kali.
A statue of Kali that is covered in severed ears and fingers, and they are not old.
And the guides are just like, nope, we're out.
Nope, 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 nope. Oh, that reminds me. There's this one mini comic of like a Godzilla-esque monster coming up coming up on shore from the ocean, gets on land, sees a wasp, is like, nope, nope, just walks away, flipping the bird behind him. It's like, nope, nope, fuck that.
Yeah.
Not wasps, not even once. I mean, have you ever been stung by a wasp? I've been stung by 2.
I've been stung by bees, yes. They suck.
Yeah.
They're very awful. So they walk the rest of the way, and they come upon Chatar Lal, the
palace of the Maharaja.
The palace of the Maharaja, Pankot Palace, and they meet Chatar Lal, the what's the word? Not regent, but the
vizier?
Not the vizier. Well, yeah, kind of a vizier, but
the equivalent of vizier.
Prime Minister. They come across the Prime Minister of Pankot Palace, which is just, okay. Anyway, and they're welcomed inside because he recognizes Indiana Jones, and I don't know if he recognizes Willy Scott or not. But.
Probably not, because she's just a Shanghai English American speaker. Singer, speaker.
Who happens to be famous, apparently.
Apparently.
Despite, just singing in nightclubs in Shanghai. For no reason.
Yeah.
Anything goes.
But they're invited into the palace. We get a quick introduction to a British officer who's also there for inspections, because this is the point when the British Empire ruled more than just the United Kingdom. In Canada. Tanner died.
I died. No, I just wanna.
We mentioned his name earlier.
Molaram.
No.
No. Oh.
The general.
Oh, general. Hold on. Philip Lumbert.
Okay.
But no. This has nothing to do with this review. It's just, this is a tweet from Rob Van Dam. a professional wrestler. I don't know if you have heard anything in the news or Twitter about the wrestling.
About Jim Cornette?
Well, but not just Jim. There's like 10 or 12 people who have been named as sexual predators.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's very... This was this was yesterday, and it all started with some dude named David Starr, who's also a wrestler, who was apparently a very abusive partner to have been with, and used the gray rape defense and the fucking Aziz Ansari defense of, well, she didn't say no, so I didn't know it was non-consensual, which is yikes. But a lot of people have been named now, and okay. This is the tweet. So the Me Too movement has infiltrated pro wrestling. Fuck. This is like mobsters speaking out on infractions of the law they've encountered. It's come a long way from the closed door society it once was, but karma has a way of catching up. So a lot of these people who are, very popular these days are now being exposed as very terrible people. And the Jim Cornette one kind of has me wheeling, because I like Jim, but now I don't know what to think. It's that cognitive dissonance,
Kind of reminded me of what happened last year with a certain YouTuber. Let's move on.
Pro Jared? Yeah, we all know. We all know what happened.
Okay, that just ruined my day.
I didn't care one bit, because I was like, I would still watch his videos. I'm able to separate the guy from the artist.
Let's move on.
Or the art from the artist.
Let's move on.
But that's neither here nor there. So they go to dinner. Back to Temple of Doom.
We end up meeting the new Maharaja. Who's
don't know if you're going to put up a different poster for that or not. That aside, probably not.
Nope. I mean, what would I even use?
Rob Van Dam. Just a poster of Rob Van Dam.
Anyway. It's,
they're at dinner.
Zalim
Singh, yep.
He's a kid. And there's a bunch of other...
Not just that. Before that, fucking Willy Scott was like, oh, so the Maharaja's single. Oh, okay. And that finds out it's a kid, and she's like, oh. And then we get shit like Snake Surprise and Chilled Monkey Brains. And
they're having a dinner with a bunch of other Indian bigwigs.
They make fun of Indian cuisine, because I don't think any of this is actually Indian cuisine. They take a few fucking liberties here. Like I said, Chilled Monkey Brains.
I've heard of monkey brains as, that has popped up. I don't know if it's true or not, but I have seen it in other sources like Clue.
I'd rather it didn't. Fucking Snake Surprise. What's the surprise?
Oh, it's the eels that are inside of the snake.
Oh God.
Still living eels, mind you, that just slither all over the place after the snake is cut open.
And she wants soup. And Indiana Jones is having the fucking time of his life, just fucking annoying her.
I'm pretty confident he's just holding a conversation with the Prime Minister and the General.
Yeah, he is, but he's also annoying Willy Scott.
And the Maharaja.
Yeah, it just...
It is not a pleasant scene outside of just Indy talking. It's largely just Willy reacting to the foods that are being presented that are admittedly kind of gross without any sort of cultural context. Like a soup that has eyeballs in it. Thank you. The Snake Surprise we just mentioned, and of course, Chilled Monkey Brains, which...
there was another one.
I'm sure there was.
Oh, the fucking Beatles.
Oh, yes, the Beatles. The huge, massive Beatles.
What? You're not eating? I had insects for lunch. That one's also a genuinely funny line from Kate.
But yeah,
There's a few lines where she's pretty funny.
But yeah, this whole scene is... I don't know if it's supposed to be offensive or if it's unintentionally offensive.
It's completely unintentionally offensive because the fact of the matter is the real conversation is supposed to be Indiana Jones discussing the Thuggies and how they used to live in Pancot Palace. But it's sort of overtaken by just the offensiveness of this.
And the Prime Minister and the Maharaja is like, all the Thuggies are an ancient cult. They are ancient history. They do not exist anymore.
Yeah.
Stick a pin in that.
Yeah, let's stick a pin in that. Can we get to the next scene? Oh my god.
So, that night, after the dinner, Indy and Willy get to talking. And basically, they both become convinced that they are the hottest shit ever, and that the opposite will just immediately break and want to sleep with the other. They are utterly convinced that they are in command of the situation, and each goes to their respective rooms angry, but still expecting the other to show up for banging.
Oh. Shit like this. Meanwhile, Indiana Jones gets attacked.
Oh yeah, that happens too. I almost forgot about that. Just a dude disguising himself as a wall mural. Just comes out.
Which is actually very clever. Admittedly very clever. Because you didn't see it coming, and I saw it coming from a million miles away.
You'd seen the scene already.
I'd seen the scene already.
I figured something was going to happen. I just didn't know where it was going to come from.
And then the guy came out of nowhere from behind, and you're like, oh shit!
It's like, oh shit!
So Indiana Jones uses his rope and accidentally hangs his whip, and accidentally hangs the guy on a ceiling fan.
Yeah.
Like Suicide style.
Yeah.
Which is yikes.
I mean, it's going to be a bit of a hard time explaining that one is self-defense, but that's what happened.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, the way it looks, it'd be a bit hard to convince them that you were the one being attacked by this guy. But that happens. And now, suddenly, Indy goes over to Willy's room and...
Oh, I knew you'd come!
And he just proceeds to completely ignore her, just looks all over her room,
There's nobody here!
Ignoring her.
There's nobody here! I'm here! And then goes to a statue and touches the breasts and pushes it in. Opens up a passageway, because he notices there's some wind on some plants.
I can just imagine that Willy's like... You want the statue more than me? Come on!
You fucking hoe.
I like at one point after he goes down in there, she tries that same trick on another statue and nothing happens.
And she's just like, I feel so useless.
As you should, Willy!
So Indiana tells Short Round, don't touch anything. What does he proceed to do?
Touch something!
Which pops out a bunch of skeletons.
On spikes.
On spikes. Ah!
It's like, don't touch anything. In fact, just lean against the wall.
Well, not yet. Not quite yet. So, they're walking through the underground cavern, as it were. And Short Round says, hey, this floor is a bit wet.
Trap. It's like, don't touch anything.
This floor is a bit wet. And he's like, I don't think that's water. Lights a match.
Oh, it's covered in bugs.
It's covered in bugs. Just like hundreds of thousands of bugs.
And scurrying all over the place.
And we'll discuss this in like a few seconds. Anyway, they go through an open segment of the cavern.
A chamber.
They enter a chamber, and Short Round accidentally steps on a button
that triggers another trap
that closes both doors. And Indiana Jones is like, okay, just don't touch anything. Lean against the wall. Okay, I'll do that.
Click. Click.
You told me to sit against the wall.
So the ceiling starts to come down, and that is covered in spikes now.
Willy! The one time Willy's useful here.
Willy has to rush down past the bugs, past the traps, past everything.
And I give Kate Capshaw some due credit for having to go through with this scene. Because
just bugs everywhere.
Just bugs everywhere, because
she has to reach her hand into a thing to hit a trigger to stop the death trap in the next room. And she's, of course, hesitating because of bugs. Because there are icky bugs all over the place. Eventually, she does trigger the switch that stops the trap, and she's able to open
so
up.
Apparently, just reading this. So apparently, Capshaw's dress from the beginning of the movie got eaten by an elephant. Oh shit! So apparently Harrison Ford suffered a herniated disc during the somersault with the assassin.
Oh.
So shit.
Shit.
That sucks. And anyway, I was going to... So with the bug scene, I give Capshaw this credit, because apparently she fucking hates bugs, and why wouldn't you? They're fucking bugs.
They're bugs.
And apparently she did... Like with Jim Carrey when he did the Grinch, how the Grinch stole Christmas, and how the costume for the Grinch was so invasive that Jim Carrey had to do meditation in order to get through that movie.
Yeah.
Kate Capshaw basically did the equivalent here. And had to sort of clear her mind. And then, as soon as the cameras went, she started doing natural reactions.
So Willy does manage to save the day. Gets into the room that is now open.
Bends down for some reason, and accidentally triggers the trap again.
Meaning that they have to rush out of the room, and Indy does manage to save his hat after it falls off, and I honestly thought that this happened in the first movie before actually seeing the first movie, so...
Nope.
Just narrowly saves his hat.
Yeah. That said, we get to the most famous scene in the entire movie. Honestly, after that,
they find a much bigger chamber that is much more well lit with lava and a bunch of cultists.
Did we mention that Harrison Ford's facial expressions in this movie are fucking hilarious? Just thought I'd mention that now. Some of his expressions are downright hilarious, like in the spike trap. We are going to die. has a bit of a pouty face, like a desperate pouty face. Like, just do it, please. We're going to die. So yeah, it's the heart scene.
So they find the cultists who have gathered for a ritual involving a man who is forcibly dragged into the room and chained to shackled to this metal cage. And the leader of the cultists, Molaram, who is probably the most famous villain in this entire movie.
He is the main villain, after all.
Puts his hand on the restrained man's chest
and rips his heart out while it's beating.
Shoves his hand into the man's chest and pulls out his still beating heart.
He pulls a Kano from Mortal Kombat.
Except with a lot less blood, and the guy's wound actually heals. Minus the heart. So he is still very much alive without the heart. And then the cage is closed, and the man is slowly lowered into lava. Face first.
Tasteful.
And during the entire time, Molaram is holding onto the heart, which bursts into flames when the guy touches the lava.
Yep.
She's like, holy shit!
Molaram's great in this movie. He's the most. He's probably the most entertaining thing in this movie, outside of Indiana Jones' reactions to literally the two most annoying people in the world.
And the cage is brought back up. It is burning hot, but the man is nowhere to be found. Not even a trace of him.
Yeah, no, your skeleton. If your skeleton falls into lava, that would melt.
Yeah,
it's hot enough to melt.
Yeah,
skeletons. Should have been hot enough to melt steel, honestly.
Well, we don't actually know what this cage was made of, now do we? And by the looks of the cavern, it's an ancient temple.
Yeah.
Used in rituals, so it was probably made of a magical metal.
Damascus steel. Do you know what Damascus steel is?
I do know that it is an ancient steel that we have no knowledge of how to create.
It has fucking nanocarbon tubes.
We don't know how they managed to pull that off.
I meant carbon nanotubes, not nanocarbon tubes. But
same thing, really.
Same thing, really. But it's like, yeah, how?
How?
And it's called Damascus steel because it
comes from Damascus.
It was found in Damascus. Even like, look, hold on. I'm trying to think of the book. The Anglo-Saxon story. Beowulf. Beowulf has Damascus steel in it. So
maybe that's how?
Fuck if I know. Anyway, like it's an insanely strong steel that even we don't know how to make. God knows we've tried. We've tried every smelting trick in the book, and I don't think we've ever figured out how to make it.
Say one thing, it's durable.
It's durable as shit.
Anyway, back to the cult ritual.
And it's not even mythical. Like, we have evidence of it, and we have swords made from it.
Yeah.
The shit exists.
Yeah. It's not like it's orichalcum or adamantite or some shit. Or mithril.
Mithril.
You say it one way, and I agree with that. That's actually how I pronounce it most of the time.
Yes. Anyway, so the thing's over. The ritual's over. Everybody's dead. Everybody leaves.
Everybody just falls over dead. No. The sacrifice is dead. Everybody who didn't die leaves.
Everybody's dead. Everybody leaves. Phrasing. That one's gonna be an all-timer. Look, everyone's dead. Alright, everybody get out.
Alright, everybody who's not dead, leave. Also, dead people, you leave too.
You leave too. Last call's at 1. Come on.
But this scene does reveal that they have 3 of the 5 stones.
3 of the 5 Sankra stones.
One of which was, of course, stolen from the village.
Yeah. That was a good laugh.
That was a very good laugh.
You good now?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So, Indy makes his way over to... basically, the region...
He steals the stones, really.
He goes over to steal the stones. Willy and Short Round are there, too. Manages to get all the stones, which glow when they're together, almost like they were Dragon Balls.
And then before he leaves, he starts hearing screams.
Yes.
And whips.
And he checks, and he found the kids! They're being enslaved in the mines underneath the temple. Because... It does get revealed a little bit that the reason why they were mining the underground of the temple is because the Thuggy cults know that 2 of the stones are down there. They just don't know where. And that's why they're having all the kids mining.
This is a bad topic to talk about, honestly.
Child slavery, yeah.
Child slavery and... We don't really have that problem here, but I imagine it's still
We
very...
don't have that problem that we're aware of. That shit could still be happening.
Well, that's just human trafficking.
Yeah. Or just abusive parents.
Yeah. I meant full-blown child slavery. I'm sure that shit exists elsewhere. I don't want to name places, because that would be...
Very, very bad.
Yeah, that would be very wishy-washy, but I would have to guess in some sects of society where law and order don't really have an existence.
So let's move on. Basically, we found the kids. Most of them are still alive.
Most.
Well, we don't know about the ones that aren't dead, so let's just assume they're all still alive.
Sure. Anyway, Indy gets captured, and so does...
As the short round.
As the short round, and so does Kate. Kate gets captured later.
Yes. She wants her diamonds, or whatever.
Maybe.
Pretty sure that's her whole motivation for even getting involved at this point.
Yeah. Pretty much.
You have really long thumbnails.
Not nearly as long as the thumbnail on this.
Oh! That doesn't make any sense.
But that was good, wasn't it?
That was good, but it doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense. The thumbnail on this is pretty long.
No, it's just standard size poster.
Shit, core mouth.
Okay, will do.
So they interrogate Molaram, and the others interrogate.
I do want to mention that when they're in their small prison cell, one of the kids does mention the blood of Kali.
Don't drink the blood of Kali. It's like a dream you can never wake up from.
Like a nightmare you could never wake up from.
Anyway, Indy drinks it.
Yeah. Well, he's forced to drink it.
He's forced.
Some of it is poured into his mouth, and he immediately spits it back out. And that's when the torture starts. With one of the thuggies using Indy's own bullwhip on Indy. As Short Round watches.
Short Round gets it too.
Yeah.
Leave him alone, you bastards.
Not the Kali blood, the whipping.
The whipping.
The whooping.
That's it. I'm gonna kick your ass.
But yeah, ultimately Indy loses this fight because the dude he's having to face off against is a lot stronger than him.
Dude, bad guy Indy is so good in this movie.
Like this
oh, there's that scene. Oh.
Like this isn't even on the same level as the fist fight from Raiders.
Yeah.
Like at the very least, Indy stood some sort of chance in that fight for as badly as he was getting beaten, but he had no chance against this guy.
Yep. So he falls to the black sleep of Kali.
And is enslaved. And
brainwashed.
And he is tortured just from the blood, because that just incredibly painful or whatever.
Yep.
And then I, for a second, thought that the antidote that he had earlier in the movie suddenly nullified the poison of Kali's blood. So I thought that he recovered. No.
No.
Because he was just like struggling in his sleep, and then suddenly he's like, and then stopped it and was like, oh, that must be the antidote working.
And then he smiled.
And that was me assuming that the antidote just had worked.
Oh,
nope.
Oh, you. Oh, you.
So I was like wholeheartedly convinced that at some point he was just going to reveal that he wasn't actually being controlled and he was just working with them to make them think. No, he's actually brain controlled at this point.
Yep, he's brainwashed. And
Would have been a nice reveal though, but I can understand why not.
And Short Round's been enslaved.
And somehow manages to escape with help of some of the other slaves.
Nope, he does it all by himself.
Okay.
He uses the pick and basically picks off his legging.
His shackles.
Yeah, he breaks out of his shackles using pickaxe.
And manages to escape. And I think...
Willy Scott's about to be sacrificed.
Yeah, I was just about to get to that.
Doesn't even take out her heart.
Yeah, no, they just shackle her to the cage and then have her facing down and lower her down. And Short Round comes in, tries to...
Andy, I love you! Whack!
Ow!
Oh, it's so good. It's such a great scene. Just, Andy, I love you! Whack!
Wait, who says that? Short Round or Willy?
Short Round.
Because I know Willy is trying to plead with Indy to not shackle her to the cage that's about to be lowered into the lava, and he just does.
My theory is Indy is finally ready to get rid of her.
It's like, fuck you, bitch.
Fuck you, bitch. Look at what you've done to me. Yeah, I finally snapped. I was a victim.
I was frozen today.
Oh, Christopher.
No context whatsoever for that.
Anybody who does understand that phrase knows exactly the context. Ah, Christopher Lloyd.
No context.
No context.
But
yeah, anyway,
Short Round tries to save Willy.
He gets fucking bitch slapped by Indiana.
He uses a torch on Indy, which actually snaps Indy out of his...
Wait, he's mine! I'm okay, kid. On the count of 3. 1, 2...
So we get a fight scene that is also Indy and Short Round trying to stop
Stop the sacrifice.
Stop the sacrifice.
The wheel.
The steering wheel looking thing.
Lever.
The steering lever wheel thing. Lever wheel. Trying to stop that from lowering Willy down into the lava for some reason.
It's a wheel. Just, come on.
It's a wheel with handles.
Yeah.
The pulley. The giant pulley.
Valve.
That's not a valve.
It's a valve.
No, it's not.
It's a valve. It's a pulley valve. This movie's broken me, as you can tell. Willy Scott's broken me. I've been infected with her stupid.
Oh. At one point, the Prime Minister gets caught in the fight and ends up getting
crushed underneath the wheel.
So
Fuck him. He was trying to kill Indy. He was also one of them.
Yeah, but he was also probably brainwashed.
Hasn't been confirmed.
I mean, the Maharaja was brainwashed, as we learned.
Sure. Anyway, go on.
I don't know what else to say. They managed to save Willy, and
steal the stones, and now they're saving the kids, and it's a big fight. Just a giant fight, and all the kids are breaking out of their shackles thanks to the help, and they're knocking down all the guards, and they're escaping from the caves.
Indy gets into a fist fight with with his torturer from earlier, and they're on a conveyor belt leading to a rock crusher. Meanwhile, Short Round's having a fight with a Maharaja who's trying to stab him with a hair needle.
Yeah, so the Maharaja has a voodoo doll, and apparently they...
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing.
That's how they were able to get Indy to lose the fight and drink the blood earlier. We forgot to mention that. How...
It doesn't matter. It's literally like blink and you miss it.
Kinda, but the Maharaja is using this voodoo doll to influence the fight now, again, by stabbing the Indy doll with his hairpin. Hat pin? Whatever. I don't know what it's called. And Short Round is trying to stop him. And
his turban pin.
His turban pin. And Short Round's getting into a fight with the Maharaja to try and stop all this. Short Round...
Poor guy gets crushed, and Indiana is still nice enough to try and save him. Because he's like, no, I don't want to see this guy die. He's an asshole. But...
Short Round ends up burning the Maharaja, which snaps him out of his brainwashed state.
You fuck. You fucking asshole. That's 2 interruptions we've had today.
I don't even know what that was. If nobody heard that, we just heard a really loud honk outside. Sounded like a vehicle honk. It was probably a vehicle honk. But anyways, Maharaja is snapped out. He realizes what's going on. Tells Short Round which of the tunnels to take to escape. The guy Indy is fighting gets killed by the rock crusher. Indy, Willy, and Short Round manage to get into a minecart and try to make their escape and make the wrong turn. The Short Round was trying to tell Indy, no, we gotta go this way, but they ended up going the way.
This scene, the torture scene, well, not the torture scene, the ritual scene, and the raft scene are probably the 3 most famous things in this movie.
Like, you cannot tell me that this movie didn't influence some video games like Donkey Kong Country.
Donkey Kong.
Because we get a really, really very well done minecart chase scene through the caves of this underground palace.
Anyway, they make their escape, and the reason they have to get out so fast is because Mola Ram and company have broken down the water tower inside the mine.
Just started to flood the mines, which happens like midway through the.
There's a great scene where Indy has to stop the rail cart from hitting a wall, and he has to use his feet.
Oh, ow, 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 ow.
And yeah. He's like, water!
Because then he sees the water coming at him.
Oh, water!
I just love how that's...
It's so good.
I think it would have been funnier if he had been like, I need water! Too much water! Yeah, probably. Maybe that's just me.
Anyway, they escape. They manage to make it out, and they make it to the bridge.
And then they find that they are now surrounded by thuggies on both sides. Somehow the thuggies managed to make it to the other side of the bridge before they got out.
Yep. So, Indiana Jones is stuck in the middle of the bridge.
Willy and Short Round have been captured by the thuggies after making it across the bridge.
Mola Ram forces them onto the bridge.
Forces them back onto the bridge.
Yeah, back onto the bridge.
And the thuggies are closing in on Indy, who is wielding his machete. There was this one scene where Indy was about to get into a sword fight with 2 guys.
Oh yeah.
And then he reaches for his gun, which he could not find.
Unpin that because he lost it in Shanghai. Yeah.
So what would have been a repeat of an event from a famous scene from the first movie is averted.
Is averted, yeah.
So he actually has to get into a fight.
So Indy threatens to throw the stones into the alligator-filled lake. River.
And Mola Ram calls his bluff because we could just go down and find them.
Yeah.
You'll be dead. What do we care?
As Mola Ram says, we can find the... I forget how exactly he phrased it.
But he's like, dude, we can just go down there and find them. You'll be dead, so you won't be able to stop us from doing so.
Yeah. We'll find the stones. Nobody will find you.
Yeah, there we go.
So, he's like, shit, that's a good idea. Hold on.
Starts hacking at the bridge.
Short round, do this.
Hang on! And starts hacking at the bridge and cuts it in half.
Kate Capshaw has the second. This is the third moment where I genuinely like Kate Capshaw in this movie, because as soon as Short Round says, "You better hang on, lady, we're going for a ride," she has this look on her face like, "Oh my god! Oh my god, we're gonna die!" Like, that's another great, like, God, if she were directed better and had a better script, she probably would have been a lot more likable.
So Indy takes out the bridge.
But I guess she's... I think the thing is she's not supposed to be likable. I don't know. Why
I can barely understand why she's in the movie for the...
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there are some scenes where she makes sense, but then there are other scenes that's like, why are you even here?
I don't know. Anyway, so he hacks off the bridge, and the bridge collapses, and a bunch of thuggies
Fall down to their deaths and are killed by crocodiles or alligators or whatever they are.
Gavials. We'll go with gavials.
Gadiles.
Gadiles. Gatadiles.
Gatadiles. Like that. But they get killed. Mola Ram is hanging on for dear life. Actually tosses one of his thuggies.
He's trying to knock Indiana off.
He's trying to knock Indiana off and uses one of his thuggies to try and do it.
What an asshole.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones, meanwhile, is like dodging arrows from these assholes.
Yeah, the rest of the thuggies are shooting arrows and shit.
So long story short, Indiana Jones and
Mola
Ram finally have the conflict with each other, and they're struggling over the bag which has the stones in it, and 2 stones fall out, and Mola Ram grabs the last stone that's about to fall out, and his hand starts burning, and he's like, oh shit, Indiana knocks the stone out of his hand and catches it, and Mola Ram falls off.
To his death.
Which is a very underwhelming way to kill this
And then
kid.
the British soldiers show up to save the day.
Yes, the Western civilization saves the day again! Basically.
So Indy and his team go back to the village with the kids, return the kids and their magical stone, and leave for Delhi.
Yep.
And it basically is established that Indy and Willy will be parting company at this point because there is no way she is going to go on any more adventures with this asshole.
Bullshit. They kiss at the end.
Yeah, but she's not in the first movie, so...
This is Indiana Jones at his absolute, lowest, to be honest.
Yeah, this movie was not nearly as good as the first movie.
Not, by that, I mean character-wise, not movie-wise, because Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Well, I think it's movie-wise, but...
Really?
This movie...
Okay, it's thus far.
This movie has a lot of really long, drawn-out scenes that admittedly aren't nearly as drawn out as in Star Trek, the motion picture. But there is a good chunk of this movie that could have stood to be shortened.
So as it stands, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom.
Yeah, that's Temple of Doom number 2, Raiders number 1.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if that changes in the next one.
Oh man, God, I can't wait to talk about Last Crusade. Is so good. Honestly.
Short Round is not nearly as bad as I had thought he might be. What with
a lot of people shit on Short Round, and I just don't, I can't really hate on him. I think he was just badly directed in this movie.
Yeah, he was essentially what Scrappy Doo was for Scooby-Doo.
Except less annoying.
Less annoying, yeah. Alternatively, you could say that Short Round is the Flim Flam of Indiana Jones. And for those of you who don't know who Flim Flam is, maybe...
13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, but that was character introduced in that was basically Short Round. In a nutshell. And he only shows up...
13 Ghosts came out, what?
Late 80s.
Yeah, okay, so after.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. No surprise. Did you know that Scooby-Doo has 20 clones?
You mean other shows that are...
Yes.
Yes, I actually saw a video talking about all of them.
I didn't think Josie and the Pussycats would actually count as one, but apparently they do. And I can actually see it now that I've seen a bit of it.
Yeah, I remember seeing this one video. We probably saw the same video talking about, all the different iterations that Hanna-Barbera decided to do to clone Scooby-Doo.
But that's for a different...
That's a different topic for a different day.
How would you rate this movie?
I'd give it a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, just about. Probably
six and a half.
6.5 is actually very generous for it, and I think that's probably right around the right spot. People hate on the movie a bit too much, I think. I don't think it's bad.
I feel that once things actually start going, they go at a pretty brisk pace. But there are a lot of moments in this movie that just are drawn out and kind of boring, but the whole climax of the movie is action-packed and definitely worth watching the rest of the movie for.
Yeah, I agree with most of that. In other words, I agree with all of it.
Haha!
But, honestly, this and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull are usually the two that I tend to skip when I'm rewatching Indiana Jones. And it's not really through any fault of Harrison Ford. It's just I can't watch another second of Kate Capshaw anymore.
I think this was actually one of my earliest experiences with Indiana Jones. Not the movie itself, but like a storybook that we would pick up from the library and read.
Did you ever have those Choose Your Own Adventure Indiana Jones stories?
I don't think I ever read any, but I wouldn't
be surprised. I read one that took place in the Himalayas, and the one ending I remember is Indiana Jones and company getting caught by like crime bosses and dying at the end. And it's like, oh wow.
Yeah, those books were amazing.
Dude, if you ever had a chance to get a Choose Your Own Adventure book, I highly suggest it. It's such good interactivity. So, anything you want to suggest?
As far as recommendations, I've actually been watching Mobile Suit Gundam Seed, which I'm not gonna lie, when I first watched it a few years ago, and I had only watched the first few episodes, it honestly really felt like it was trying to repeat the plot of the original Gundam.
Right.
Which wasn't necessarily a bad thing, but now that I've actually watched a majority of it and gotten past those first early episodes, it's really kind of evolved into its own thing, and actually has some pretty decent elements of that deal with racism and genetic engineering.
Eugenics.
Yeah, there we go. It is very, very well done, and I'm looking forward to finishing it off and checking out Seed Destiny.
I have a suggestion that's on the opposite side.
I can see what you've pulled up, and I figured you would do this.
Yeah. So for those of you who have ever heard of a mangaka by the name of Rumiko Takahashi, may know one of her works, Inuyasha.
Just Ranma 1/2. Never heard of either of those.
No. Well, I've been watching her first work, her very first works. Well, her second work technically, but her first the one that got her famous. Urusei Yatsura, which is oh my god, it's so weird. So basically, these aliens invade Earth and give Earth an opportunity to defend themselves with a game of tag, basically. And oh my god, this plot will sound so weird, but basically the main character Aru Moroboshi, which is a pun, by the way, a very punny name. He was apparently born on April Friday the 13th, and if you know Japanese mythology, that's bad news. Because 4 is considered unlucky in Japan. On Friday the 13th. Need I say more? Anyway, so he gets promised by this chick that she'll marry him if he wins this game of tag. In order to win this game of tag, he must grab the horns of this alien chick who looks like an Oni, Loom. Or Lum. I can't remember how it's pronounced.
I always pronounced it Lum myself, but
yeah. Anyways,
that's because I never actually watched the show, so I didn't know the pronunciation.
He succeeds in doing so. I won't say how, because no.
But I'm sure I'll have found an image of Lum to use as the image, and you can tell just by looking at her how scantily clad she is.
She's insanely popular though.
She's a very popular character from what I understand.
I can definitely understand that. Not just for the looks.
Yeah, but anyway, so he grabs the horns and wins and saves Earth, and he accidentally mentions out loud, "Ha! Finally, I can get married." And you can tell where this is going.
So, Lum misinterprets what he's saying.
Yes.
As though she thinks that he's talking to her.
Yes.
When he says that.
Yes. This is like one of the first... I hate to use that phrase, but this is like one of the first harem anime that really codifies a bunch of the tropes, like the perverted main character, but he's not really...
I always thought that it started with like Tenchi Muyo or something.
I don't... Well, this is from...
Granted, I have little knowledge of the harem genre.
Well, yeah, well, when did Tenchi Muyo come out?
Sometime in like the 90s or...
Oh, no, this came out in 78.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know what the actual plot of it was. I knew it was a comedy series.
Mind you, I just find it hilarious that the mangaka, who is female, writes a story like this. One of those weird things. She writes a story where the main character is like a pervert for girls.
And then she goes on to write the even more popular Inuyasha.
Inuyasha, yeah. And Ranma One Half, which is also a very good, very, very underrated.
It's like if you're a fan of Dragon Ball and then you go back and read Dr. Slump.
Oh God, yeah. The difference in writing between then and then is very stark.
Yeah.
Along with the art, the art style's the same. Oh my God, the art style's the same. Anyway, it's incredibly enjoyable, very funny. I feel bad. I feel bad for this guy, but at the same time, it's like, you're an asshole.
I should probably check that out.
You got it, dude.
I've at least watched some Ranma Half and Inuyasha, so I at least get the gist of what's going on in those.
Yeah.
I want to say Yatsura is the one popular series of
but it should be noted, for some reason, the English, like the English versions of this are all sort of fucked up. Because they've got like 5 different English versions. Because they went on and off over the years. They started in the 90s with Viz Media. And then they just sort of stopped doing it. And then they started doing it in 2019 again. And they're still doing OVAs of it. I think the last thing that came out was like 2008.
This is related to it, but prior to this, outside of, having seen Lum show up and be referenced in other stuff, my biggest experience with Lum was watching Justin Wang's video talking about how big of a mystery the Italian opening
God,
song.
Yes! Nobody knows who's the singer.
And it's really fucking good. But nobody knows who did the opening theme. Nobody can find a full version of the opening theme. And I'm gonna just
That said, the opening theme in the Japanese version is also really insanely earwormy.
I'm gonna leave in the description of the YouTube version of this a link to Wang's video talking about this subject, because it is an interesting topic.
Yeah.
So, anything else?
I don't think so. I think we're good.
Alright, well, until next time, I'm ProtoMet.
But yeah, that was
Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
That was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Look at that. Look at that. You can't say that's insanely popular. It's a very good dance.
If I could post that GIF right here and just have that be playing for the rest of the video,
no.
I would, but I don't know how to.
Yeah, no thanks. Anyway, thanks everybody so much for watching.
I'm ProtoMet.
This is my Recycle Balls. We'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.
Bye.
What's the next one? We forgot to mention the next one.
Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School.
Ah, yes, a classic. I hope I don't end up cringing over it, but I probably won't. Have a good one.
Ya.